Hello everyone and welcome to the lecture on what and why of Kubernetes. So this lecture will contain all these topics. What is Kubernetes? Origin and development of Kubernetes. Deployment evolution from traditional to virtualized era. Deployment evolution, the container era. Difference between a VM and a container. Understanding why we need Kubernetes. What Kubernetes provides and what Kubernetes is not. So first topic is what is Kubernetes? Kubernetes is a portable, extensible, open source platform used for managing containerized workloads and services, emphasizing both declarative configuration and automation. Kubernetes boasts a large and rapidly growing ecosystem. Its services, support, and tools are extensively available due to its open source nature. Second topic is origin and development of Kubernetes. The term Kubernetes stems from Greek, translating to helmsman or a pilot. The abbreviation K8S comes from counting the 8 characters between K and S. So total we have 10 characters, and if you take the middle from between K to S, then it's total 8 characters. That's why K8S. Google played a pivotal role in developing Kubernetes, open sourcing the project in 2014. It combines Google's over 15 years of experience managing production workloads at scale with community's best practices. Third topic is deployment evolution from traditional to virtualized era. Initially, organizations ran applications on physical server with no resource boundaries, leading to resource allocation issues. One application could monopolize resources, causing others to underperform. Running each application on a different server was a non-scalable solution with underutilized resources. Virtualization was introduced to solve these problems, and that allows multiple virtual machines to run on a single physical server's CPU. It improved resource utilization and scalability, reduced hardware cost, and allowed applications to be isolated for security purposes. Then came the container era, which is the fourth topic. Containers similar to virtual machines, but with relaxed isolation to share the operating system, and that emerged as a lightweight solution. Containers have their own file system, CPU, memory, process space, and are decoupled from the underlying infrastructure, making them portable across clouds and operating system distributions. Containers become popular due to benefits like agile application creation and deployment, continuous development and deployment, dev and ops separation of concerns, observability, environmental consistency, portability, application-centric management, and efficient resource utilization. Next topic is fifth one, which is what is the difference between between virtual machines and containers. So first we have the isolation. So VMs provide strong isolation as each VM runs its own operating systems. On the other hand, containers share the host operating system but isolate the application processes. Size. So VMs are large in size as each VM carries the full operating systems. But containers are lightweight as they share only the host operating system. Startup time. So VMs generally take longer to start up due to the need to boot up an entire OS. Containers start up quickly as they run on the host OS. Next is performance. VMs have more overhead because of the duplication of an entire operating systems. Containers have less overhead as they share the host OS. Resource allocations. VMs require a specific amount of resources to be dedicated to them at creation. Containers use only as much resource as an application needs at a given moment. Hardware level. So VMs are a hardware level process virtualization. Containers are an operating system level process virtualization. System calls. VMs can make direct system call to the host OS. Container system calls need to go through a translation layer unless using something like gvisor for added security. Portability. VMs, due to their size and hardware abstraction, are less portable. Containers are highly portable, can run anywhere the container runtime is installed. So, regardless of whichever operating system you are using. VMs are considered more secure due to their isolation level. Containers, while secure, can potentially be less so due to the shared kernel. Sixth topic is understanding why we need Kubernetes. In a production environment, we need to manage the containers running applications and ensure no downtime. If a container goes down, another container needs to start automatically. Kubernetes handles this behavior. Kubernetes offers a resilient framework to run distributed systems. It manages scaling and failover for applications, provides deployment patterns. For instance, Kubernetes can manage a canary deployment easily. Seventh topic is what Kubernetes provides. So, Kubernetes can expose a container using a DNS name or their own IP. If a container receives high traffic, Kubernetes can load balance and distribute the network traffic for a stable deployment. Kubernetes provides automatic mounting of your chosen storage system. It could be a local storage, public cloud providers, etc. With Kubernetes, you can describe the desired state for your deployed containers. It can change the actual state to the desired state at a controlled rate. For example, Kubernetes can automate the creation of new containers, removal of existing containers, and adoption of all their resources to the new container. You provide Kubernetes with a cluster of nodes to run containerized tasks. You specify how much CPU and memory each container needs. Kubernetes can then fit containers onto your nodes to make best use of your resources. Kubernetes has self-healing capabilities. It restarts containers that fail, replaces failed containers, kills containers that do not respond to your user-defined health check, and does not ties them to clients until they are ready to serve. Kubernetes lets you store and manage sensitive information such as passwords, OAuth tokens, SSH keys. It allows you to deploy and update secrets and application configuration without rebuilding your container images and without exposing secrets in your stack configuration. Eighth topic is what Kubernetes is not. So, Kubernetes is not a traditional or inclusive platform as a service system. While it provides some features common to PaaS offerings such as deployment, scaling, load balancing, it operates at the container level and not at the hardware level. These solutions are optional and pluggable. Kubernetes aims to support a diverse variety of workloads, including stateless, stateful, and data processing workloads. If an application can run in a container, it should run well on Kubernetes. Kubernetes does not deploy source code or build your application. Continuous integration, delivery, and deployment are influenced by organization cultures, preferences, and technical requirements. Kubernetes does not provide application-level services like middleware, data processing frameworks, databases, caches, or cluster storage systems as built-in services. These components can run on or be accessed by Kubernetes applications via portable mechanisms like the Open Service Broker. Kubernetes does not prescribe logging, monitoring, or alerting solutions. It offers some integrations as proof of concept and mechanisms to collect and export metrics. Kubernetes does not provide or mandate a specific configuration, language, or system. It offers a declarative API that can be targeted by different forms of declarative specifications. Kubernetes does not provide or adopt any comprehensive machine configuration, maintenance, management, or self-healing systems. Kubernetes is not just an orchestration system, it consists of independent, composable control processes that continually drive the current state towards the desired state, making it easier to use and more robust, resilient, and extensible framework. And that's all. Thanks for watching.